Okay, so welcome to round number one here of the main event of the EGC TV $125,000 Golden League. We've got Hazza, an Age of Empires 3 legend who has really only recently started playing Age of Empires 4. And in his first tournament berth, who's he up against? MarineLorD. You know, he's a StarCraft 2 legend, but most recently been just killing it here in AoE4. And I've got here in the casting booth, Killer Pigeon. What's up, KP?
Oh, not much, just taking a break from the baby. Noticed it starting off. Noticed you were cast a few games, before I'd hop in and check this one out. Because, I've seen plenty MarineLorD. Like, I can kind of fanboy that side, I've been keeping an eye on the French, as English people historically always have been doing. But you kind of have the other bases covered, right? Like, Hazza's from your domain. You know this lad inside out.
Yeah, I've watched him play, countless Age of Empires 3 games, but I honestly, this is, I think, maybe the first time I've even casted, seen him play Age of Empires 4, other than, his, first time exploring the game. So I expect something unorthodox here, and we were just saying before the start of this game, this could result in some really off-meta stuff that, if Hazza has practiced, which we're sure he probably has, could catch MarineLorD off guard. Civilizations, by the way, we have MarineLorD playing as the Abbasid Dynasty, and Hazza's over there playing the French. A good beginner civ to be playing. They say it's beginner friendly.
Yeah, so the French is kind of very brain dead, straightforward. You kind of optimize your timings. And if you're a good micro player, you can dominate the game. Because I always like to use the term tempo civs. I think it's a good way of portraying a civilization. So what that basically means is, in this matchup, they're the civilization that's meant to set the pace of the game. They're meant to lock out fuel castle age timings from their opponents. And you can see that France have that in their dominion, right? England's another civ that does this. The Abbasids are more about ramping up as quickly as possible, unlocking castle, and then dominating from there. So the really key thing for success for Hazza here is he needs to find a way to be the tempo setter in this matchup against someone who, funnily enough, has always been considered the #1 French player in the game. Not just because he's from France, but also on the civ as well.
I would like to point out, here's an Abbasid against French, and I always mention we're here on Dry Arabia that the berry spawns can really matter when you're in this matchup, right? Because you have knights maybe coming forward to harass you so early. MarineLorD has a nice little pocket berry spawn behind his base that's rather safe. The wood's not too far away. I do want to point out that he did open with the sheep. He did not go for the berries, so he didn't build a mill and has gone straight for the lumber camp. Probably because he probably knows he needs to get up a defense early up against the French. But we'll see if Hazza goes for that all-out rush that we know is so common with the archers and knights.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to plant straggler trees because I think he wants to get ample wood, not just for the mill, but the racks, right? Because he is up against the French. So you're expecting early knights raiding through you. The cool thing MarineLorD, though, is he has a really boxed-in location. You mentioned that first berry bush, but just... I mean, you're an Abbasid connoisseur. You'll experience this. You'll love this as well. Just scroll slightly to the right. Oh, look at that. Another berry bush line. Just beautifully parked in a defendable location. It's kind of the dream.
This is, honestly, if I was playing Abbasid right now, I'd be very happy with this spawn. He has now thrown down the mill, and he is getting that wheelbarrow, which, of course, increases that carry capacity, but makes your village a little faster, which will help you avoid those raids as they come in. And then looking on the other side, Hazza does have a gold pocket behind his base, which for the French, that's good. You don't want your gold to be too far forward because that can be a point of harassment.
There's an interesting detail, though, right? If you noticed it yet, something very different about Hazza's build to most French players.
Let's see what's he doing over here.
There's no mill. There's no wheelbarrow yet.
Yeah.
And this is one of the civs that gets it the earliest because remember, their mills only cost 25 wood, and then they get the 30% eco discount as well.
Now, I know that Hazza played a little bit of Age of Empires 2. I know he dabbled in it a little bit, but maybe he hasn't realized how early people go for the... hold on.
It's been a recent development.
Yeah, I'm watching this. The scout almost popped a villager, but I think it did get escaped. But that was a close one. But it does look like MarineLorD's going for the second town center build here, which, could be a little bit greedy as you've already got a knight running across the field for you. He doesn't have a barracks down yet, so if you can just delay those villagers, that can have a huge impact.
Yeah, historically, this has been the type of way that MarineLorD you'd kind of expect him to play. If you've ever watched him in the early days of England, he was one of the few players that made double TC look really good. He's very much a greedy player when he can get away with it. To quote him, he feels like he's a percentage player. if you can get a slight edge, he knows he can, like, over time, exploit that to win the game. Like, he's not looking for this cheesy play, this emphatic victory moment. He just wants to cut you a little bit, give himself, like, that 2-3% win probability in his favor, and then exploit that from there. Like, so you'll see he now only gets in the racks as the knight shows up. Like, he doesn't want to lose any efficient economy at this stage of the game. That being said,
oh, he almost lost one. Almost lost one.
Gonna,
oh, no. I thought he was gonna get away. He like stopped.
I think he like in his mind knew it couldn't get away, right? But then also they were just standing there for like a good 2 seconds.
Is this knight gonna get away? 3 HP. Oh my gosh, with the scout in tow.
Oh, but that scout does 4 damage.
Yeah, I know.
Luckily, it's gonna be reduced.
Here goes his own. His own scout. Oh, he's still alive.
He's
2
HP.
Run,
this is like the most stupid
1
face
HP.
ever.
Oh,
He's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
No way he's gonna get away with this one. And he's spending a lot of time microing this.
He's almost there. Like, I actually think he could have cut the corner there and he would have caught up to it. But Hazza just screwing him now.
The great race. I don't even want to look away.
Oh, wow, look, he brought in archers now. So archers
Down
already moved across the field. This is really early from Hazza to get an archer across onto his opponent's stone line. And he was also being attacked by wolves, but he still gets here on good health.
And look how much
anyway.
stone MarineLorD has. He did not get the 300 stone that he wanted. I don't know. Like, for me, like, up against French, I think it's super risky to try to go blind for a second TC without a barracks early on. I know you said he likes to drop his barracks a little bit later, but I think we're seeing that, like, he's been delayed now. Like, sure, he's probably still going to work to get the 100 stone, but that was villager seconds he invested there. It's good he popped that knight, because that knight almost got away.
Do you know what it actually is? Something we were highlighting is this whole thing that, you know, this is a player who probably plays the game different, off meta, whatever. Yeah. I think MarineLorD was caught off guard by that. Because, pause that thought, as the shivs come out, these knights are actually going to die to the Peasant Rebellion.
Oh my gosh. Peasant Rebellion.
But, so let's highlight this, because this is a really important detail, actually, is we were saying he didn't go for a mill and he didn't get the wheelbarrow. Think about what the cost of that is. That actually skews your timing on your knight by an extra 20, 30 seconds at least, I'd say. And I think MarineLorD anticipated he would get that. Yeah. So this knight came across a good 30 seconds quicker than it should have done, which completely catches MarineLorD off guard and slows down his entire strategy.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So maybe it was purposeful that he just wanted to get there as fast as possible, but hard to say. Down goes 2 archers there, and now MarineLorD's starting to stabilize. I mean, he has some archers. He has, 2 archery ranges and a barracks. And he's been able to take down a few knights. Like, sometimes you get these knight raids, but the knights just keep staying alive. I mean, I think Hazza's lost, 2 or maybe even 3 knights already.
Oh, man. Can I just, highlight this about Hazza, actually? Like, I've been kind of underwhelmed by the scouting is what I wanted to highlight. Like, you know me, I'm a nerd for this. Craft players dominated the early stages of Age of Empires 4 because of this, because they respected the importance of vision. And something I noticed about Age of players, no matter what game, Age of Mythology, 3, 2, whatever it was, they neglected their vision so they could never transition ahead of time. But Hazza has surprisingly just learned this straight away, coming in off the back of, AoE3 straight into AoE4.
Look at him stop this wall because he has that scout.
Yep. Multiple value. Like, he sees everything his opponent wants to do. And this informs him now, right? It's like, okay, so he's trying to box himself in. He's clearly trying to condense himself because he wants to get back to that greed that he started before.
Here comes that town center finally here at the 90-minute mark. A lot later than Abbasid players typically want to drop that. So he's bought some time. We have Spearmen chasing the knights down, forcing the villagers off of the berries. We do now have a camel archer, which will be causing that debuff on the Royal Knights when the camels are close to cavalry, 20% less damage.
They're going to get 1 or 2 and get out here as well. Like, the chivalry will help somewhat, but one of these knights might go down. But it's just poking and prodding. Like, you need to just keep this up. Meanwhile, the archers have been negating the incoming archers from MarineLorD. But that's kind of the awkward thing of this composition, by the way. This is why most French players don't push archers this early. It's like, you want as many knights as possible, right? Because you want to have 2 to 3 different groups of knights riding around the base. If you put archers in the mix, that's like a soft, squishy underbelly to your composition, right? They can easily get caught out of position.
Yeah. Scout put down. I feel like MarineLorD is stabilizing. He's got his second towns are going up, so he has a second wood line right next to the gold. Has that close berry bush. I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot here. And I don't know what Hazza's transition strategy is going to be. I do see he's out on the deer to the north of his base. He did get wheelbarrow. Here we go, a little bit of engagement. Archer's moving in, trying to get on the spearmen, but I think MarineLorD has him outgunned right now.
I think Hazza's looking a little bit lost right now. Like, this was a golden opportunity where he could have sent knights to the north and then when he sent them in on the east, right? But instead, you saw he was out of position and out of time, so he didn't make the move. It kind of feels like Hazza had this cool opening in mind. He got more value than he expected, and it does feel a little bit question marky now as to what his next move is. I think in this situation, like, he even invested in the blacksmith, right? Like, I don't think it's siege engineering time, but I think it might be a point where you could try and up the stable count, or you try to, like, pad your economy now. Because you have to realize, like, if you just keep this stalemate for the next 5 minutes, MarineLorD is playing 2 TCs with double berry patch near his base, so he will accelerate past you.
Now, don't neglect the fact that the French, they still do get their villager. Oh, no.
Oh,
free
no, that's a
knight
freebie.
going now. They do get their villager training time bonus.
Oh, wait,
What's going on?
Where's this
Another archer?
going?
I think he just lost him. So they are currently a neck and neck on villagers, but yes, I think MarineLorD will stabilize. I wonder if Hazza will drop a second TC. I'm doubtful that will happen.
It's too fragile now, right? Like, I think the window is closing fast, and he's reinvesting the night lines. That night line is charging in. Good time on this. MarineLorD a little bit greedy, a little bit late to get the outpost up. So we'll find his way in and deny the wood for the moment.
But he's got that right wood line secure too if he needs to just run over to that side.
I mean, he's already gathering there, right?
Yeah.
Because the TC just producing villages instantly. So it's like, it's not detrimental to him right now. But Hazza, he kind of has to take what he can get. The advantage he has is this force is slow to respond, but when it does respond, you need to be careful. That's a freebie given over again.
I love the fact that there's just one camel archer in this army, giving that debuff to these royal knights. Like, that is so... What a great use of this unit.
This is actually the best case point for Camel Archer, by the way. Like, Camel Archer is actually terrible value against horsemen. Not enough people talk about this, but remember that while Camel Armies, for those who don't know, it decreases the damage of cavalry by 20%, it doesn't affect bonus damage. But against a knight, they don't get bonus damage, right? So you just reduce that full chunk of 30 by 20%. That's a huge negation to the damage of the French knights.
Yep. And now we see Hazza kiting back towards his base. We have the Abbasid army pushing over the halfway point for the first time this game. Imagine if he went north and spotted these villagers. Would be quite a problem. Uh-oh, is another knight going to die? No, down it goes. We do have a knight in the villager line back at home, but
he's going to get a few kills.
Yeah, he might.
Like, oh no, he needs to go for the berry line, but he doesn't see. Like, we have God vision, right?
Yeah.
He's blind here, no scouting vision, so he doesn't realize all these lads just exposed on the berry line.
Trying to pick off the spearmen.
There's a fight at his own berry line, and this number is looking really good for MarineLorD right now. Like, the spears, once again, another knight's going to fall. Remember, folks, each of these costs 240 resources, and Hazza is already at an eco disadvantage up against MarineLorD.
Yeah. Well, another thing that might be playing out here, in Age of Empires 3, you've got this snare ability. So when you hit a unit with a melee, it slows down the group of units that is drag boxed with it. So like those hits would actually slow that army from being able to kite, and perhaps Hazza's used to leaning on that mechanic, and that is not the same here in Age of Empires 4.
No, the unique mechanic we have, of course, with like the cavalry side of thing, like some people still don't like fully like clock it because it is like it has weirdly complicated phases. Is with the bracing, like people know that it does something, but what it does in full, like, and I don't think it has fully realized it yet. When the brace goes out, first of all, it stuns the unit, which means that your unit can't attack, and then it roots the unit. So it stuns for about a second, roots for about 1.2 seconds. Roots, when you're rooted, the knights can still fight back, but when they're stunned, there's no attack back. So Hazza is taking really insufficient trades up against these spearmen each time, and now the Rams are coming out. MarineLorD, remember, he gets access to this for free because the Abbasids, they don't need a blacksmith. They do not need siege engineering. They start with this technology already on hand.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be hard to recover. He lost a lot of knights in that battle, and I did kind of feel like there was some awkward microing going on there. But again, this was to be expected going into this matchup. We do have the spearmen and that ram taking down the outpost, and now maybe moving in on the school of cavalry, but he might go for houses or the archery range. He sent knights across to try to raid, realizing they weren't getting a ton of value back at home. But I'm just not sure how he's going to stop this Abbasid force from pushing forward.
Yeah, it's the fact that his economy is grinding to a halt because, like, look at his food state right now. He needs these berries. Being denied in the berries is big. He only has one farm down, and if you look up at the deer, he's almost depleted that site. So Hazza's about to grind to a halt on the production side very soon because everything he's producing requires huge chunks of food out of his economy.
Did you say berries soon?
Very soon. It's, very
Meanwhile,
bad
those
joke.
3 knights look like they died back at MarineLorD's base. Let me take a look at the villager count just to see. 62 for MarineLorD, 46 for Hazza. So I think the clock is ticking, and I do
Oh, it's
believe
getting
we'll
worse.
probably see a resignation here in the near future. But I got to say, I really liked Hazza's opening. Like, he stopped MarineLorD's second TC. It really looked like he was going to have some good momentum, but it was just kind of the follow-up kind of like felt short. And perhaps MarineLorD was okay with that. Maybe he's seen this for French players, and he's not worried about it because, you know, he just pivoted just fine and built his second TC anyways. There we go.
Wow. Look at MLord. How merciless. Making his own French people homeless as he deletes all their houses at the end of this one. What a dominant turnaround. I mean, yeah, to highlight what you talked about, there was some interesting moments there from Hazza. But to go back to that, I think it's because of what MarineLorD expects, because what he feels in these matchups. Like I said, that timing on the first night is quicker than you'd anticipate because your opponent hasn't gone for wheelbarrow. But I also think MarineLorD is smart enough to understand that. Like, something doesn't add up. This guy has played so many matchups at this point, like so many games total, but also especially he's played the French a lot of times before wheelbarrow and currently at wheelbarrow. So he probably looked at the clock, instantly knew what had happened, and then understands as long as he can weather the storm, essentially Hazza's dealing with a suboptimal economy. And we see the effects of it, right? He's not actually snowballing as quickly as MarineLorD is, even though MarineLorD hasn't even started to establish full value of the second TC yet. Of course, you do get the fresh foodstuffs making it easier to kind of like stabilize after building a second TC. But the fact remains that a lot of archers and a lot of spearmen are being produced by MarineLorD. He puts himself on an even footing with Hazza. And then, of course, the next step, which you did highlight, is Hazza's not taking good trades. He's not optimal with his raids. His micro is a little bit off. It feels like he really kind of got caught off guard. And
Yeah.
I think these small things like the wheelbarrow are going to come back to bite him in the butt if he doesn't sort that out quick.
I was looking at the military graph here post game, and if you look at that, the numbers, units killed, 68 for MarineLorD, Hazza got 30, so it was like double, and it was kind of that we saw a lot of those trades just were less than favorable. But as we kind of knew going into this was a kind of a David versus Goliath as far as experience in Age of Empires 4 is concerned. But this is a best of 3, so this is only the first one, and now we'll have Hazza's home map in the next one. So I'm going to close this one out for the YouTube, and we'll see you in the next round.